Who could have imagined Johnny Rotten singing, "I am a conformist" instead of anarchist? Well, in this episode of Politically Incorrect from 28 years ago today, May 20th, 1997, the Sex Pistols' lead singer was only second in conservative positioning to President Reagan's kid, Michael, the talk show host. Lynn Redgrave tried to confront fellow Brit Johnny early in the episode, got shut down, and, did that "I'm not going to talk anything anymore" kind of thing. And this is a great, great, great episode. You're going to enjoy it. They talk about China. Clinton opening up China. Clinton opening up more than China. Well, you all remember that. Maybe you kids don't. But, again, great episode of Politically Incorrect. People that criticize Bill Maher, I don't think he's changed all that much.
Tonight on Politically Incorrect, actor Harvey Fierstein, actress Lynn Redgrave, Sex Pistol John Lydon, and pop radio's Michael Reagan. And now, the star of Politically Incorrect, Bill Maher.
Thank you very much. We got the old Arsenio crowd in here today. They couldn't get into The Price is Right either. Well, here's something that'll completely bypass your Price is Right, people. President Clinton is working toward winning China a most favored nation status. You're not going to enjoy this at all. Now, this is a very big issue every year, whether China gets our most favored nation status, and Clinton is saying we should. A lot of people say we shouldn't because of their human rights abuses and other things, but he says no. The best way is to bring them into our family of nations where they'll learn our customs, learn our morals, and eventually be adopted by Mia Farrow. And are you following this Oklahoma bombing trial? This is fascinating stuff. Yesterday, the defense, or I guess it was the prosecution, one of the two, presented evidence that there was... I guess they both got a crack at it. But anyway, there was residue from explosives found on Tim McVeigh's clothing. Looks like pretty damning stuff. He had an answer. Tim McVeigh said, no, that was the bomb residue was just from his last haircut. You see, because he's got a haircut with him. Man had a bad haircut. That's what I'm saying. A lot of Price is Right people here today, aren't there? Not just the one. Also, they found on Tim McVeigh earplugs. This, to me, is very damning. Why would he have earplugs on him? Well, they said it wasn't because he was expecting a bomb blast. It's because he was a shooting enthusiast. Well, I mean, there are shooting enthusiasts, and that's okay, but he was a gun nut. And to prove that he was a gun nut, they entered into evidence his tiny penis, which I think... Speaking of tiny penises, Newt Gingrich had an interesting... You got to play to the crowd you're given. That's all I'm saying. Newt Gingrich, an interesting comment yesterday. He said it's not enough that our stock market is setting record marks when fourth graders are having sex in our schools. Which just shows you're never too young to have Republicans butt into your sex life. And speaking of Republican butts, Millie the dog, you remember Millie, the White House dog with the Bushes, died. Very sad. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry to report that, but it's true. George Bush and Barbara Bush drove Millie to the vet the other day, thinking it was not something too serious, but it turned out the dog had to die. And now, now Dan Quayle won't get into the car with either one of them. All right, thanks for coming. It's all been satirized for your protection. First, he is the host of radio's The Michael Reagan Talk Show and the author of Making Waves, Michael Reagan. Yes, Michael.
What an opening act.
How you doing? Like so many of us, he started out as a Sex Pistol. His next band was Public Image Limited. His new first ever solo album is Psycho's Path, John Lydon. Johnny, how are you? Good to see you. She is an international star of stage, screen, and television. Her next movie is Toothless, this fall on ABC. Lynn Redgrave. Hello, darling. Thank you very much. And finally, a Tony Award-winning playwright, actor, and gay rights activist, Harvey Fierstein. There he is. Harvey, how are you? You look wonderful. Okay. Okay.
I might get a date tonight.
Just let's hope it's not from the panel. Well, let's...
Watch my back, boys. Watch my back.
I'm sure many have watched your back, Harvey. Now...
There's a Reagan here. You gotta watch your back.
Oh, not this Reagan.
Harvey.
I'm staying away.
I want to talk about Kelly Flynn. Do you know who that is?
Oh, Kelly Flynn, B-52 bomber woman.
Right. Not the B-52s, the group.
You can tell by the hair.
B-52 bomber. And this is really what what America is talking about, because if you don't know the case, now she was, I think, the top woman bomber in the Air Force, and she had an affair with a married man, and now they are putting her on a court-martial. She asked for a dishonorable discharge, for an honorable discharge, but apparently they're not going to grant her that. They are going to court-martial her.
It's not for having sex, it's for lying. See,
well,
heterosexuals get thrown out for lying, gay people get thrown out not for lying. So the problem is, she had an affair with a married man. Had she had an affair with a married woman, everything would be fine.
You know, he makes a point. If you follow the story all the way through, when she first went up to Minot to be in the military Air Force Base, she didn't date anybody because she didn't find anybody at her level attractive. And so the rumor was that she was gay.
Yeah, but does any of
And
that
so that
matter?
was a problem, and of course now she got into a
when you join a military organisation, you have to accept the fact that their rules are their rules. You do not question authority. So, little Miss Homewrecker really should have known what she was walking into.
How do you know she was a home wrecker, John?
I read the
Excuse me.
newspapers.
No, that was...
The written word never lies.
Oh, that was his story. You see, what I think is,
However,
that she
she's
shouldn't
questioning the
fraternise.
authority that she fully accepted when she went in. It's like a contract. You have to read the small print. If you're going to, dispute that, then it's not a military organisation
Yeah, but look at all the B-52 bombers who'd be on the ground
society.
if every pilot was court-martialed
wait a
for
minute,
It's
adultery.
a very double standard with the man.
And I think it's a good thing she's having sex, or she'd be dropping too many bombs, you know?
Well, there's been in the last year. In the last year, there's been 67
So is it better to
people
drive
thrown
your
out.
plane into the mountain? I mean,
She's not
I
going
just
to...
wonder, is it better to drive it into the
Why
mountain?
join these organisations if you're not going to accept the rules?
But they were going to
That's
look
the end
past
of
the
it.
adulterous affair because, first of all, she was turned in because she testified against a man who had had sex with his secretary and beaten his secretary. He was fined $4,660 and said, go away. So he went away and he resigned from the military. He swore he would get her. So he turned her in. When they went to her about her adulterous affair, they were willing to look past that. They said, stop the affair. She promised to stop the affair. She didn't stop the affair. That's why they're going to court-martial for lying, not for the adultery.
Oh, well, she's a slut. She's a slut, clearly. That's it. Okay. I'm with you. Absolutely. It's all
But
over.
she said she thought her career was over anyway. She might as well have saved the affair. She might as well save the boyfriend because she'd lost her career.
You know, people have to understand the military is not like a democracy. It's like a dictatorship.
Well, that's what he said.
And you know that before you go in, and it's a bit too late to moan once you're caught out.
Johnny.
Well, every now and again, people will cross.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't shut up, me and you will.
Oh, it's getting nasty.
Take a break and towel off.
If you're planning to be in the Los Angeles area and would like free tickets to Politically Incorrect, call 213-852-2655.
Okay, we are back, and we were asking the question, do we want a dishonest person with a messy sex life with their finger on the button, other than the president? And I know that that's your view.
Are we saying that she's the only
I'm
messy
for her.
person with a funny sex life?
I'm back. I'm on her side.
The problem is with the military that many people go into the military because it's the only way for them to get education, to get that kind of education. I mean, if you want to be an airline pilot,
How to kill people.
one person doesn't. No,
That's not her
to the
case,
military.
Harvey. She was the best that the Air Force had. They spent millions of dollars training her.
No, but I was going back to their point of when you go into the military, you give up your rights as human being.
Yeah, you do.
Well,
And
some
you
of them do.
don't.
Apparently
You
not.
don't.
Apparently the men don't have to.
No, the men don't.
No, the men don't have
Only
to.
but no. Only the heterosexual men don't have to. The gay
Oh,
men have
Harvey
to.
would just... Not everything is a gay issue.
It is a gay issue. and they
Not
tell you
everything is gay, okay?
You can't
This
say
has
it's
nothing
gay.
to do with gays.
But if she had lied and was gay, she wouldn't have been thrown out.
But she's not gay. Not everybody's gay.
And she doesn't even want to be gay.
So, wait.
What's interesting is 67 people were thrown out of the Air Force last year because of adultery charges. 99-1. That is the difference between the men being thrown out and the women throwing out. But men don't go on 60 Minutes and show the tear. We push women into the military, but when something happens, we play the damsel in distress scenario.
Oh, please.
We do.
No, I think there's a whole thing that because she's having sex, people still think they have
Nobody
this
cares
double
if she had
standard.
sex. The
No,
military
they do.
didn't either.
Yes, they
I
do.
think they
Military
do. They
cared
don't-
that she lied.
They do. No, they also care that she's having sex because she's a woman.
For a man in the military, it's rather easy to have sex whenever he wants to.
I bet there's
if
a
he's
double
married,
standard, I bet. But
yeah, I mean,
that's
they have
just tough.
brothels
That's
and
the
stuff.
way it is.
This was a base in North Dakota, and here's a woman who's making the kind of sacrifices that very few of us make to defend her country. And on top of that, she has to put up with a situation where it's very, very hard to find, I'm sure, any sort of sex partner in North Dakota on a military base when you're a woman.
Oh, absolutely.
And on top of that, she's the kind of woman who's, you know, she's a bomber pilot. She's not the kind
She was
that, I
surrounded
mean...
by men. I mean, she must be incredibly fussy. Or gay.
I knew that was coming.
Please!
I knew that was coming.
Oh, God.
If you were gay, she wouldn't have to make fun of your clothing, would she?
I could.
I'm not sure
I think everybody
understand.
agrees that the military needs to do something because what makes you guilty in the Air Force is absolutely okay in the Army. I mean, they don't have a uniform code that goes across all of these areas. If she would have done some of these things in the Army, she could have gotten away with it. It's the Air Force that has a stricter rule. And again, let's go back.
Right.
It is against the
to
law.
be a bomber pilot in the Army.
Adultery...
It wouldn't have worked. The whole thing doesn't quite work.
Adultery is wrong, but relationships, because
but
the relationship with
adultery-
somebody. What's interesting is you cannot have a relationship with somebody who they feel is of lesser quality than you,
But
which is
adultery
really
is a biblical thing. And so if you go by the Ten Commandments, one says don't commit adultery, one says don't kill, which what a bomber pilot does. Don't you think it's odd that they have such a strict adherence to one commandment so you could do another?
None of this None of this is doing Top Gun any good at all, is it?
See, and that's the bottom line, is when you say that, is what's going on. Less and less people are signing up to go in the military today. They're taking lower standards of people into the military. The military is being absolutely torn apart by this, and that's not going to bode well for this country.
Because people want to commit adultery, or they've decided not to kill for a living. Wait, I don't understand which commandment is getting people to join the military.
Even God killed when he thought it was necessary, Harvey.
Yeah.
If you believe in God.
I do. Maybe you should, too.
No.
Have a nice night.
No.
Yeah, Harvey.
The Bible's full of death.
Maybe there's a
Want to talk
connection.
about adultery? We could talk about his father.
You know what, when we come back, why don't we talk about gay? We'll take a break. We'll be right. Okay, I want to go back to something you said before, because I think, you know, extremists ranting about their cause do not help the cause. And, okay.
Yes, I disagree. I think they do.
You think extremists help their cause? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah, because, well, look at all the churches that raise money through hate. I mean, they raise money by like, screaming and yelling at anti-gay stuff, and they raise a lot of money from the people that would give them money.
What churches do that?
Oh, I wouldn't think of any moral people that would do that.
You mean, you mean like the Christian Coalition?
Oh, no.
Well, I mean,
screaming hate against gays. Yes, of course. The Christian Coalition screaming hate against gays, or I mean, look what went on with the Ellen DeGeneres thing.
Well, what do you think about the fact that now Larry Kramer, a gay playwright, accused Michael's father of being a murderer because he wasn't doing enough about AIDS? Now,
no,
his father...
It wasn't that he didn't do enough about AIDS, but we do have the leader of the free world not even say the word AIDS. Not even say the word AIDS for the first 3 years.
Does that make him a murderer?
Does that make him a murderer?
No.
But that's what he's called.
It makes him a moral leader, while thousands of people are dying that he doesn't even mention, because his advisors...
People with AIDS aren't the only ones dying. There's a lot of other people dying out there, a lot of diseases out there other than the AIDS virus. More people die from lung cancer every year.
And you know what?
But guess who gets more money?
But they're both preventable. They're both... Well,
absolutely, you should know.
It's not totally preventable. But AIDS was, we knew how not to spread AIDS, but we couldn't get anybody to talk about condoms, could we, or having safe sex or anything else. No, what we had instead was a president that would not even say the word. You have a condom failure rate of 19%. Now, if I was getting on a plane, they told me every time we went to a destination, we crashed 19% of the time, I wouldn't call it safe flying. Excuse me, but you don't only have to have that kind of sex. Yes, condom rate does fail that way, but you don't have to have that kind of sex, and condom isn't the only tool that was available. There are drugs, and there are... But it was new to all of us back in the 1980s, and everybody blaming Ronald Reagan. The leader of the free world not say a word about it. We had somebody who was supposed to be the moral leader of the free world not say a word about it because it was not going to be popular. He didn't say a word about it in your time frame, but in his time frame he did.
Okay.
But the point you make is right. The point you make is right, like the guy with the Cyclone B down in the South. With the
Cyclone B.
Cyclone B license plate is just one of those issues out there today. Talk about issues. Here's a guy gets a Cyclone B license plate. Right. ADL comes out and says that's a terrible thing, and that's become a big issue now. His First Amendment rights.
I think I know what you're talking about. There's a vanity plate. They call them vanity plates, where you can get your own plate. Yeah. And a guy in, where was it?
I think it was in Virginia.
Was Zyklon B, which was the gas they used in the Holocaust camps. That's a lovely idea, right?
He ordered it and they gave it to him.
And they gave it to him. And now they took it away, and he's claiming First Amendment rights to be that big of a jerk.
I mean, he should be left with his silly nameplate. He's an obvious half-wit. If he was just treated as the big joke he is, it wouldn't be an issue. But to blow it out of all proportion, it becomes absurd. And the very thing that you're claiming is civil rights. Well, you're denying him his civil rights. He has a point of view no matter how foolish.
Don't you have a theory about the fact that the President of the United States is responsible for the deaths of a lot of his friends? Don't you call that the Arkansas flu?
And the Arkansas flu, yeah. Well, no, not responsible. He's not a great guy to be around. His friends end up about 6 feet under. That's not a good place to be.
But wouldn't you call that extremism? You really think the President...
Is extremism that it is true that many of his friends, about 30, 40 of his friends, have ended up dead? That's not extremism, that's fact.
So you're saying, you're thinking President Clinton is knocking off his friends?
No, I never say that. I have never said that President Clinton's knocking off his friends. I said it is not safe to be a friend of
imply
Bill.
it.
To be an FOB, it's not safe.
But are you saying that it's more than just a coincidence?
I'm saying that, in fact, being around Bill Clinton is not safe in Arkansas, and there's a lot of people who agree with you. And
But are you saying that it's just coincidence, or are you saying he's responsible
most of the
for
cases
some of
is
their
probably
deaths?
coincidence, I would say, in a lot of other cases.
Most of them probably.
I would
So
say,
in other words, you're
can
saying...
I finish? I mean, you're going to go back to my book, The Arkansas Flu. There are some people around Bill Clinton that ended up dead, killed in a gangland-type situation. I would say...
A gangland-type situation?
Yeah, Mr. Jerry Parks being one of them.
You mean like 3 bullets to the back of the head and take the cannoli, leave Paulie?
There you go.
Seriously? So...
I think there are some bad... I think there are some
So
bad...
you are saying...
I think there are some bad people in Arkansas that Bill Clinton has been around during his lifetime as a governor, and I think the people around Bill Clinton, because of the drug situation in Arkansas, that have ended up dead because of drugs.
The drug
Is it a
situation?
big drug
Yeah, there's-
state? Is
Other,
it?
Yeah,
other
I mean,
than
Arkansas.
Roger Clinton, I know of no drug situation in Arkansas.
Yeah, well... Yeah.
Is that
So
all
you're-
in this book?
Yeah.
There's some in that book. There's a lot of others.
Okay.
But is Arkansas known as a drug capital?
I
I just don't have... I don't have
Little
30 or
rough.
40 of my friends who just have died. I mean, in that way.
So, okay.
From
So you're
Arkansas?
saying the President of the United States is carrying out Godfather-like
No, I'm
drug
not
hits.
saying that. I am not saying that. But I will say
But
that
you
I
are
think
saying it.
Arkansas,
You're
I think
saying it-
Arkansas is controlled very much by drug trade. And there are people that have been around Bill Clinton, have been involved in drugs, who have ended up dead.
And how many of them are gay?
This is why it's good to let extremists talk, because when they speak, you see.
Okay.
No,
And
I'm
I think
not
we've-
extremist. Those are facts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Angela
Arkansas,
Lansbury
I tell
called
you,
the
I'm
same
scared
thing
of
at
going to
Sirius.
Okay, we have to take a break. We will be right back.